Good evening aspirants, welcome to Daily News Analysis brought to you by Shankar IAS Academy. Today's date is March 14, 2024. Displayed here are the list of topics we're going to see today. Now without wasting any time, let us get into the discussion. Look at this article. Supreme Court on Wednesday froze the Assam government's move to withdraw 26-year-old notification constituting the Pobithora Wildlife Sanctuary. See, the Assam government was about to denotify the Pobithora Wildlife Sanctuary, but the Supreme Court intervened and stopped this attempt of Assam government because the Pobithora Wildlife Sanctuary is very important for India as it has the largest rhino population in the country. So in this backdrop, let us understand the process of notifying the protected areas and important protected areas in Assam. Firstly, what is a protected area? See, protected area has been defined in Wildlife Protection Act 1972. The section 2 of the act says protected areas means national park, wildlife sanctuary, conservation or community reserve. So these areas are notified under chapter 4 of Wildlife Protection Act, which is titled as protected areas. Also note that the reserved forest is not included under protected areas. Now let us understand the process involved in declaring protected areas. Forests and wildlife are included in concurrent list of Indian Constitution. Therefore, Union government makes policies and plans for wildlife conservation. National Board for Wildlife puts a policy framework for wildlife conservation in India. The board was constituted under Wildlife Protection Act 1972 and it is chaired by Prime Minister. National Board for Wildlife may make recommendation on setting up and management of national park, sanctuaries and other protected areas, so that no alteration of boundaries in national park or wildlife sanctuaries can be done without the approval of National Board for Wildlife. In addition to this, State Board for Wildlife shall advise the state government on selection and management of areas that are to be declared as protected areas. Now we shall see the important protected areas in Assam. First is Kaziranga National Park. It is famous for the population of Indian one-horned rhinoceros and it also has tigers, elephant and various bird species. Note that it is one of the UNESCO World Heritage Sites in India. Then Manas National Park. It is also UNESCO World Heritage Site and it has tiger and elephant population and it is also famous for Assam roofed turtle and pygmy hawk. This is Nameri National Park. It is situated along eastern Himalayan foothills and it is celebrated for diverse fauna and critically endangered white-winged wood duck. Dibru-Saikhowa National Park. This is known for unique blend of swamp and grassland ecosystem and it is habitat for feral horses, migratory birds and rare Gangetic dolphin. Look at this. This is Orang National Park. It is known as Rajiv Gandhi Orang National Park and it is recognized for the population of Bengal florican and great one-horned rhinoceros. So these are the important national parks in Assam. With this, let us conclude the discussion and move to the next news article. Look at this editorial article from Hindu newspaper. It talks about the recently implemented Citizenship Amendment Act Rules 2024. The timing of CAS implementation just before the general elections is criticized by the article's author. This is because it is like an attempt to exploit a polarizing issue for political gain. Just imagine this scenario. India is a Hindu majority country and CAA highly favors certain religions including Hindu religion. The government is going to face the election in few days and it is implementing these controversial rules just before the election. What will happen in the general election? Majority of Hindus will cast their votes to the party which implemented the rules and the party will form the government again. The author of the article is criticizing this diversionary tactic of government to gain the votes. So this is what the article is talking about. In this context, let us understand the various perspectives of topic using our mains answer writing approach. See, this question can be asked in GS paper 2 under the syllabus mentioned here. Just go through it. Let me read the question for you. How justified it is to view the issue of Citizenship Amendment Act from communal prism? Substantiate your views. Here you are expected to write whether it is justified to view Citizenship Amendment Act from communal prism or not, and you have to substantiate your arguments. Here, what is communal prism? It involves interpreting an issue primarily through the lens of religious or communal affiliations. If you take CAA, viewing it through a communal prism would involve focusing on its implications for different religious communities, particularly Muslims, and assessing how it may increase communal tensions or deepen divisions within the society. So now let us start with the introduction. In introduction, you can write few facts about CAA Act. See, Citizenship Amendment Act 2019 enables illegal migrants belonging to Hindu, Sikh, Buddhist, Jain, Parsi or Christian communities which are migrated to India after facing persecution on the grounds of religion in the countries like Pakistan, Afghanistan and Bangladesh so they can get Indian citizenship after fulfilling the minimum legal requirements. Here, a illegal migrant is the keyword. It refers to foreigners who enter India without a valid passport or travel documents and stay beyond the permitted time. The illegal migrants can be deported or jailed, but the Act makes them eligible for citizenship from the date of their entry into India any time before December 31, 2014. So this is a general introduction about Citizenship Amendment Act of 2019. Now moving on to see the body part of the answer. Here you can split the main body of the answer into two parts. Firstly, you can write about the view of CAA through communal prism. Then you can write about why it is inappropriate to see through the communal prism. Let us start with the first part of the answer. Here you can write that CAA is discriminatory in nature when viewed from communal prism for the following reasons. Firstly, in CAA, only non-Muslims belonging to certain religious communities like Hindus, Sikhs, Buddhists, Jains, Parsis and Christians from these neighboring countries are eligible for citizenship process. This exclusion of Muslims from the benefits of CAA has been criticized as discriminatory and a preferential treatment. This goes against the secular principles enshrined in our constitution. Our constitution guarantees equal treatment under the law irrespective of religion. Secondly, the associated fears of nationwide National Register of Citizens, that is NRC. See, NRC is a government registry that documents Indian citizens and distinguishes them illegal migrants. While CAA provides a path to citizenship for certain religious minorities, it excludes Muslims. On the other hand, Muslims who could not prove citizenship might be labeled as foreigner. Thirdly, it aids political rhetoric. See, the discourse surrounding the CAA has often been framed in communal terms by various political actors. Some parties and leaders have capitalized on communal sentiments to mobilize support for or against CAA. So this further expanding the communal split within the society. Finally, the communal framing of CAA has significant social implications as it deepens mistrust and animosity between religious communities. So this can lead to polarization, sectarian violence and a breakdown of social cohesion, posing a threat to pluralistic fabric of Indian society. So this is about the first part of our body of the answer. Now moving on to the second part of the body of the answer. Here we can write that CAA is not discriminatory in nature when viewed from communal prism. Firstly, CAA aims to provide refuge to persecuted religious minorities from neighboring countries. From this perspective, CAA is framed as a humanitarian measure rather than a communal one. It just seeks to address the plight of vulnerable religious groups in the neighboring countries. Secondly, no changes have been made to present legal process of acquiring Indian citizenship. So even Muslims from Pakistan, Bangladesh and Afghanistan can get Indian citizenship through naturalization or through registration. The procedure for them remains the same. So CAA does not target any religious community from abroad. It only provides a mechanism for some migrants who may otherwise called illegal, depriving them of opportunity to apply for Indian citizenship provided they meet certain conditions. Thirdly, central government has implemented the rules to operationalize the provisions of CAA. So this means that no migrant from these communities will become Indian citizenship automatically. They will have to apply online and competent authority would see whether he fulfills all the qualification for registration or naturalization. Finally, it opts for positive discrimination. Hence, it may not violate Article 14 of the Constitution. And remember, these amendments on citizenship for illegal migrants will not apply to certain areas. These include the tribal areas of Assam, Meghalaya, Mizoram and Tripura, which are included in the 6th schedule of the Constitution. The exceptions also include the states regulated by inner line permit under Bengal Eastern Frontier Regulation 1873. So the unique identities and socio-economic interest of tribal population have also been safeguarded. So this is about the second part of our body of the answer. Now we have come to the conclusion part. In conclusion part, we have to give a balanced view. While there are valid arguments for both for and against viewing the Citizenship Amendment Act, there should not be violation of constitutional principles in deciding the fate of citizenship. The state cannot simply give up humanitarian approach to deal with persecuted communities. There should be right balance between national security and humanitarian approach to deal with the complex society. So in this way, you can give a balanced conclusion on your own. So this is all about the discussion. With this, let us move on to the next news article discussion. Look at this article from Business Standards. The SEBI is considering to make it easier to conduct the initial public offerings, and it is also looking into several other relaxations and changes. The changes will include easier IPO norms, exclusion for foreign portfolio investors, same-day settlement, relief for alternative investment funds and mutual funds. SEBI's board meeting is scheduled for March 15 and this will finalize these decisions. So this is the crux of the article given here. With this background, let us understand about IPO, FPO and other related concepts for our prelims examination. Firstly, there are two types of market, money market and capital market. Money market is like a marketplace for borrowing and lending money for a short-term period, that is less than a year. On the other hand, capital market is where long-term securities are traded. Now coming to the money market, think of it as a place where governments, banks and businesses go when they needed quick cash. They can get this cash by selling short-term securities like treasury bills or by taking short-term loans. The main goal here is not to invest for a long time but to manage day-to-day cash needs. So this is about the money market. Now coming to the capital market, it includes things like stocks and long-term bonds. Imagine it as a place where businesses and governments go to get money they need for long-term projects like building factories or infrastructure, and by selling part of their ownership, that is stocks, or by borrowing money for long-term, that is bonds. Investors in capital market are looking for a place to put their money where it can grow over years or even decades. So the capital market is focused on long-term investment and growth. And note that capital market is divided into two main types, that is primary market and secondary market. Firstly, let us see about primary market. It is a place where new securities are created and sold for first time. So it is also called the birthplace of securities. Companies, governments or public sector institutions can raise funds by selling new stocks or bonds to the public, and these transactions in the primary market is done by initial public offering, that is IPO. So what is IPO? An IPO is when a company offers its shares to the public for the first time. Before an IPO, a company is considered private with a limited number of shareholders. By launching an IPO, the company can raise capital from public investors. The funds raised can be used for various purposes such as expansion of company, paying off debt or improving facilities. So this is about initial public offering, IPO. After securities are sold in primary market, they move to secondary market. This is where buying and selling of securities which are already issued take place. The secondary market is important because it provides liquidity, allowing investors to buy and sell securities without impacting the issuing companies directly. So this is where the follow-on public offering comes, that is FPO. An FPO is when a company that has already issued initial shares creates additional new shares to investors or offers existing shares for sale. This is conducted in primary market since it involves the issue of new securities, but it's not the company's first time. The reasons for FPO might be similar to IPO, which is raising capital to fund expansion or reduce debt. So we have seen what is money market, capital market, what is primary and secondary market, and about IPO and FPO. With this learned points, let us move to the next news article. Look at this article from Indian Express newspaper. It says that CRPF has been forming a board for promotion and financial issues. So in this context, let us discuss the basics of CRPF for our prelims exam. See, CRPF is one of the central armed police forces of India for internal security. They work under Ministry of Home Affairs. Originally, they were created as Crown Representative Police in 1939. This is to assist British in managing law and order issues. So it is one of the oldest central paramilitary forces. After independence, the force was renamed as Central Reserve Police Force by Act of Parliament in 1949. CRPF has specialized units like Rapid Action Force for Riot Control, Commando Battalion for Resolute Action, for Counter-Insurgency Operation, and Special Duty Group for VIP Security. CRPF is primarily responsible for maintaining internal security, counter-terrorism operation, and assisting state police in maintaining law and order. It also assists in disaster management and protect vital installations. So they help to preserve national integrity and promote social harmony. CRPF played a significant role during the amalgamation of princely states into Indian Union. When princely states of Junagadh and the small principality of Kathiawar in Gujarat were declined to join Indian Union, CRPF helped the Union government in disciplining these rebellious princely states. Displayed here are some of the duties performed by CRPF. In addition to these domestic duties, CRPF personnel have also been deployed in international peacekeeping missions and also for other missions under United Nations. Their training, discipline and operational capabilities make them a crucial asset in maintaining internal security and combating various threats faced by the nation. Now moving on to see their powers. Firstly, about arresting powers. CRPF personnel have authority to arrest individuals suspected of committing offences under various laws, including Indian Penal Code and Criminal Procedure Code. They can make arrest without any warrant if they have reasonable grounds to believe that a person has committed a cognizable offence. Now coming to the detention powers, CRPF may detain an individual for questioning or investigation if they are suspected of involvement in unlawful activities or pose a threat to public safety and security. However, detention must comply with the legal procedures and safeguards outlined in the Constitution of India. So these are about the arresting and detention powers of CRPF. So this is all about the article. With this, let us move on to the next news article discussion. Look at this news article. The Committee on One Nation, One Election, which is headed by former President Ramnath Kovind, will submit its report today. As you all know, the concept of One Nation, One Election envisions to conduct simultaneous polls across the country. So this means that the elections for Lok Sabha and all state assemblies and panchayats will be conducted at the same time. But for this to happen, specific amendments should be made to the Constitution and also to the Representation of People Act. So this committee was formed to make recommendation on these amendments, and the committee will submit its report today. So in this background, let us revise about the pros and cons of simultaneous elections. The relevant syllabus for this topic is given here. You can go through it. Firstly, let us start with the pros of simultaneous elections. See, firstly, the joint polls will lead to saving of money, time and energy. This is by reducing the burden on administrative setup and security forces. So this will ensure timely implementation of government policies and also ensures that administrative machinery is engaged in developmental activities rather than being in election mode every year. Secondly, it is necessary to solve the problem of governance on the part of politicians. See, it is commonly observed that in order to obtain short-term political advantage in assembly elections, the ruling politicians will postpone the long-term decisions which will affect the country. But in case of simultaneous election, it can be reduced. So it will bring consistency and continuity in policies and programs which will benefit the people. So thereby it leads to political stability. Thirdly, elections held simultaneously would potentially result in higher voter turnout than usual. See, the rationale behind is casting votes could be more comfortable for voters when the elections are conducted together. So these are some of the advantages of simultaneous election. Now let us see the disadvantages of simultaneous elections. Firstly, one nation, one election may lead to overshadowing of local or regional issues by the national issues. So this can result in voters focusing more on national politics and less on local concerns. So this will potentially undermine the representation of local parties. Secondly, when multiple elections are held simultaneously, it may become challenging for voters to hold elected officials accountable for their performance at different levels of government. So this will weaken the link between voters and their representatives. Thirdly, holding simultaneous elections can introduce complexity in electoral process. So coordinating between different levels of government and managing logistics can be a challenging process. So these are the disadvantages of simultaneous elections. With this, let us conclude the discussion and move to the next news article. Look at this article. An NGO called Association for Democratic Reforms approached the Supreme Court regarding appointment of election commissioners. They raised concerns that government might unfairly benefit while appointing 2 election commissioners. The NGO requested the court to suspend a new law regarding the appointment of election commissioners. They suggest that Chief Justice of India should be included in the selection committee of the appointment process. So in this context, let us understand about the appointment of election commissioners. For this, we need to understand why there is a sudden buzz around the appointment process of election commissioners. See, in Anup Baranwal vs Union of India case last year, the Constitution Bench of Supreme Court has given an important judgment. According to the judgment, the Chief Election Commissioner and 2 election commissioners should be appointed by President on the advice given by a selection committee. The selection committee should consist of Prime Minister, Leader of Opposition and Chief Justice of India. This landmark judgment is based on Dinesh Goswami Committee on Electoral Reforms and Law Commission's report on electoral reforms. But the central government went against this judgment by enacting a legislation. The Chief Election Commission and Other Election Commissions Act 2023 countered this judgment of Supreme Court. According to this act, the Chief Justice of India is replaced by Cabinet Minister in the selection committee of appointment of election commissioners. So this has given the central government a dominant role in the appointment process of election commissioners. So basically, the appointment process includes Prime Minister a union cabinet minister and leader of opposition. Also note that the recommendations of selection committee will be valid even when there is vacancy in the committee. Now let us understand the constitutional provisions of Election Commission. There are 5 articles from Article 324 to 329 in Part 15 of the Constitution, and it does not lay down a specific legislative process for the appointment of election commissioners. This is all about this discussion. Now we have come to the prelims practice question discussion. Look at the first question. Which of the following are the duties to Central Reserve Police Force? Crowd control, counter-insurgency operations, border security, participating in UN peacekeeping mission, rescue and relief operations at the time of natural calamities, rescue of hostages. So we have to select the correct answer from the code given below. See, the correct answer is option C, 1, 2, 4 and 5. The border security is the duty of Assam Rifles, Border Security Force and Indo-Tibetan Border Police, and also for Shastra Seema Bal. So these 4 organizations are related to border security. CRPF does not have a duty for border security, and the rescue of hostages is done by National Security Guard and not by CRPF. So 3 and 6 are not the duties of Central Reserve Police Force. So once again the correct answer is option C. Now look at the second question. Which of the following countries typically conduct simultaneous elections for both national and regional levels of government? The correct answer is option C. Only 3 countries: South Africa, Sweden and United Kingdom. These 3 countries conduct simultaneous elections. So the correct answer is option C. Now look at the third question. It is about Election Commission of India. Now look at the first statement. The Election Commission of India is a constitutional body responsible for conducting free and fair elections at national and state levels. This statement is correct. The Chief Election Commissioner of India and other election commissioners are appointed by President of India. This statement is also correct. The Election Commission is responsible for conduct of elections to Lok Sabha, Rajya Sabha, legislative assemblies, offices of President and Vice President. Yes, this statement is also correct. Now look at the fourth statement. Election Commission of India is solely responsible for enforcement of election laws and regulation, including code of conduct for political parties and candidates during elections. See, this statement is incorrect. The Election Commission is not solely responsible for the enforcement of election laws and regulation. It collaborates with other authorities and agencies to ensure the integrity of electoral process. So the correct answer is option C, 1, 2 and 3 only. This is the mains question for you today. Interested aspirants can write the answer and post it in the comment section. With this, we have come to the end of the discussion. If you like the video, please share it with your friends and don't forget to subscribe to Shankar IAS Academy YouTube channel. Thank you.